Okay, hello everybody. This video is a bit of a off-the-cuff sort of emergency video. Last night I went in to do some laser cutting on the laser cam and realized that we have quite a few changes in the workflow as far as setting up your files for the machinery, and so I thought I'd just make this video as a little reminder on what we need to do to get our stuff ready. So I'm just going to pop open Illustrator here. You can see the subject matter that I chose is this deer head from my living room. This is a deer that my wife's father got years and years ago back in the 80s, and we have him proudly displayed on the wall here. So anyway, so I took this photo with my iPhone and just quickly emailed it to myself, put it into Illustrator. I then did like a trace of it that make it look a little bit cooler, sort of like this camo sort of vibe. And then I began to just trace it in Illustrator, first with just a main outline like this, and then I added the antlers with some little highlights and stuff like that, and then I added the camo back from the drawing as well. Okay, so that's the main thing that I'm working on here, and that's my piece. So what I want to talk to you guys about is what I did next. So at that point I opened up a new file with the 24 by 48 inch artboard, which is the size of the available bed on the laser cam. And then I took that, all those layers, I had each one of those different sections blocked out into its own layer. And I took each one of those layers and I just laid them out across the bottom of the board. And then I added this cut line here to separate each panel of the stencil. Okay, so at that point I sort of realized, well, as far as inside-outside cuts go, really all I have is I have all of these outlines here, which will be my main inside cut, and then I just need one other layer for just the outline to cut out the panels. So I just end up with two layers right here. So one layer is all of the Illustrator work that I did, and then the next layer is just the panels itself. And so the laser will come through, it'll cut my 24 by 48 piece of polystyrene in half perfectly so that I get this nice big chunk up here to work with, and then everything else inside will be on its own panel. Okay, so the big piece of news to figure out, which I hadn't brought up too much, we did hear this however in our orientation, but I thought I would just go over it one more time, is that LaserCam software is being a little bit picky right now, and what it wants you to do has to do with setting the origin point on your file. Now, we've talked before about up here in the upper left hand corner, if you go to the rulers and you click in this little square up here at the top and just click and drag out, you can set your origin point anywhere you want using these little crosshairs. And so we've been trained, of course, to go and set your origin right here in this lower left hand corner, just like that, so that you get 0 and you get 0. That is how that's going to work. But the next bit that Chris mentioned that I haven't pressed on too much is that LaserCam wants to have a little registration mark in this lower left hand corner, and so I'm just going to zoom in on it right here. There we go. All right, and the reason we do this is because once we upload this file into the LaserCam software on the school computers, it's going to want to register, or it's going to want to draw the very first pixels it finds on each layer to the origin point, which is this lower left hand thing. So if we don't have any actual geometry or any line work here in this corner, what it's going to do is it's going to drag this point up here where there is geometry, and it's going to pull that to the corner, and that's not what we want. Okay, so anyway, the solution is you have to go to each layer. I'll start with layer 1 and just hover over the very corner of your artboard right there and just click a line, click once, and just click twice. Okay, and then I'll just hit escape to drop that. Okay, now so that's very hard to see, right? It's a black line on a black border, so if it makes you feel better, you can change it to another color. It sort of makes me feel better. And you can also up that line weight a little bit, just so you know you're in the right, so you know you're doing things correctly. Okay, so there's that, just like that. So we all need to make sure to have that done. Okay, so that's one layer. The trick is you have to do this on both layers. If you do it for one and not the other, what will happen is that once you upload to the laser cutter, it'll register one layer but not the other. And this is very important for the way that I have this file set up right now, because I have this inside cut all laid out with my outside outline cut. And if those two things aren't placed in the right way, well, then I might get something much different than what I want. In the worst case scenario, the laser cutter could come and cut these panels right in half, and that's not what I want. So anyway, so I've done the first layer, and now it's just time to do the second one. So I'll go to the second layer. I'm just going to zoom in here again to this very little corner. I'm actually going to turn off the one I did on the first one so that I can just double check I'm doing this right. Go back to my pen tool, and then I'm just going to jump right in here and just put another little line. There we go. And I'll hit escape to drop that pen. Okay. Very good, very good. Okay, so there we go. So now I've got one on there. Maybe I'll change the color of this one just to help me designate that I've done this correctly. Okay, good. So I've got a blue one on the outline layer, and then I've got a red one on here. Perfect. Now I see that I have them both, and that's it. So this is a hack. This is like a hack that we're going to apply for this semester that wasn't in place last semester, and that's how it goes with this sort of stuff, right? The LaserCam software is fairly old, and as Chris mentioned in the orientation, it still runs on DOS, which is straight out of the 80s. Anyway, so we have to play along with that. We have to just get flexible with it. The other thing to talk about is how we save these files. Okay, so right now I'm in Adobe CC, and most of the most of the computers that you guys are using in your computer lab are going to be CC as well. Okay, now in the laser cutting lab, right, we have computers that are running Adobe Illustrator CS6. Now technically it's the same version, but that's tricky. We're not sure if Adobe CC is going to open in a CS6. So I want to quickly show you guys how to save down your file so that it'll open in CS6 as well as CC. So let's do that now, okay? So I'm just going to go here, and I'm just going to save my work. I'm going to go to Save As. All right, very good. I'm just going to give this the test name here. Okay, so when you do a Save As, you get this save box right here. And if you look right here, right now, it says what version are we saving to? It says Illustrator CC. Correct, that's what I'm using. Okay, good. So I'm just going to go OK. Good. So now I've saved one that will work on CC. So this will open on any of the computers that's in the computer labs where we have class. Now I'm going to go again. I'm going to go Save As. I'm going to give it a new name, _CS6. I'm going to go Save. Okay, and now I'm going to click on this button that says Version, and you're going to see I have access to all of these legacy formats of Illustrator, and the first one is CS6. So I'm just going to click on that. It's going to give me a little warning here that says saving to a legacy format can cause some changes in your text layout, and we're just going to ignore that because this has to be done. So I'm going to hit OK. It's going to give me another warning then. Illustrator does not like to do this, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. Hit OK again. There we go. And now I'm just going to go to my desktop, and I'm just going to look here and try to find the file that I found that I just created. Excuse me. Here she is right here. Okay. Okay, good. So if I look up here at the tab, then I can see the CS6 file will open in CC. Now what this is for is just in case you have to make a quick edit. If you forget to put a registration mark on your file when you're working in the classroom, or if for some reason something's off, and when I brought in my files there were some things that needed adjustment. So this is just going to save you the trouble. Creating this CS6 version will save you the trouble of having to run back and forth between the lab where we have class and then the prototyping lab where you're going to actually do your cutting. Okay, so this is just a general thing to help you avoid that. Okay, so let's check again. So I'm just going to do a little selection box down here. It looks like I've got my registration marks are in place. I've got a CS6 version. I'm good to go. Now it's time to export my DXF. So I'm going to go File, excuse me, I don't know what I just clicked. So I'm going to go File, Export, and I'm just going to unfold this and go to DXF, and I'll just hit the Export button. And we're just going to leave all of this the same. Everything's going to be the same. So hit OK, and voila. Okay, so now I've exported the DXF file, and you can see that I've got one. It's right here. I'm just waiting for the rollover. There we go. Yeah, CS6. Okay, so now I've got a CS6 DXF file. We've got a CS6 AI file that we can edit in the lab. Okay, and then we've also got the original file that we made in CC that we can edit back in the classroom lab as well. Okay, so this is 3 files. It's one thing we're trying to create, but hey, that's the way it goes. Okay, so now I would quickly just take all these and I would just attach them to an email and email them to myself. So I would just go compose, just type in my email address here, and then I would just attach these all from my desktop. So it's going to be let's see, the DXF here is one, there's one, and then we'll take the CS6 AI file and we'll just attach that one. Did that work? Looks like I sent that without attaching the rest of them. If that happens, don't worry about it. Just reply to yourself, attach them again. There we go. CS6 AI. There we go. It takes a little bit of time because this is a full 24 by 48 piece of paper. So, and then there's our final or here's our original as well, just in case. Just in case. Okay, send that to myself, and then I'll go back to my inbox, and then you can see here's the new email that I just sent to myself with both the first file and the other 2 that I'm going to need. Okay, so that's that, guys. I just wanted to go over that one time. I'm going to also put this in words in an email that you can read instead of listen to. So hopefully we all can just make those quick changes to our files and avoid any sort of frustration, because I know that that could be on the horizon. Anyway, good luck. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you later.